Most people think branding means designing a logo, and it doesn't. A logo is only part of the process. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 10 stages, step by step, of a branding project, from a discovery all the way to the launch, and what these steps are and what you need to do. And this is the start of a series that I'm doing. So I'm going to talk you through the entire process and guide you all the way through. And it's important to understand the full process, each part of these 10 stages that is really vital for your branding and building a solid foundation. So I will guide you with exact examples. But first, it's important to understand what the stages are and how to apply them. So we'll be covering the summary of how to design a brand, a full brand from scratch. And the way that I like to do it is that each brand consists of 10 stages. So from a blank page to a full identity. You have the discovery stage, the research, the concept, the sketch, the refine, color, type, systems, documentations, and then the launch. So let's get into it. So stage 1 is the discovery. You need to start with a brief. This is really important because without a brief, you have nowhere to go and you have no experiments, or no projects rather. So you need to define the real problem before you go and open the software. So you need to turn the ask into a problem and see what the problems are. You need to understand who your audience is and who it's for. You need to agree one word to own and what the keyword would be that you want to focus all your attention to. You also need to define what success means for this brand. So it means different things for different brands and different projects. So you need to understand what the key factor here is to focus on. And once you understand these 4 things, then you need to write them all down and start implementing. So once you have the discovery phase, you need to start the research. So this research stage gives you direction and gives you clarity. So you need to first understand who the market is in that niche and who you're going to be competing against. Understanding this gives you leverage because seeing what the competitors are and learning the category codes, building a mood board, and starting to build a mood board and understanding a key similarity between all the different people in your niche and the competition would allow you to understand where everyone is focusing all their points. And having a mood board is really important because then it allows you to pinpoint all the similarities, differences, what all the areas would be. So you need to set a kind of mood, starting to build a visual guide for yourself to really understand what the key similarities are, and then pinpointing what the gap is. Because once you understand what the colors they're using, the type they're using, the mood they're using, and everything the competition is focusing on, you will really understand where the gap is and where it will give you leverage to stand out from the rest. So gather the references, build a mood board, and find the gap in that market, in that niche, to differentiate yourself from everyone else. Once you discovered exactly who your audience is, who it's for, what to focus on, and then you understand the competition, the gap, then you need to start understanding the concept. So you need to find the big idea here. A logo without an idea is just decoration. So you need to sit down and think properly. Where is the gap and what you need to focus on first? So at the beginning, you want to go for quantity and get out some. At the beginning, you want to go for quantity. You want to get out the vague ideas and the ideas that you want to get rid of first. Usually these are cliche ideas or the obvious ones, and then you need to go deeper. You need to dig a bit deeper to find the gap, and slowly building an understanding for yourself what the focus of the project would be and what you want to implement in these concepts and these initial ideas. So doing so, you can build a mind map for the brief and start to understand what you want to focus on and what you don't want to focus on. And you can eliminate concepts doing so just by focusing on the amount of quantity and getting a few rough ideas and cliche ideas out of the way, then slowly building some sort of rhythm and coming to a better idea and better quality concepts, combining 2 ideas to one for a very strong direction. You need to find an idea that hasn't been experimented yet and the winning idea that is currently invisible in the market, and that gap that you have found through your research and concept building. Stage 4 is the sketching phase. The sketching phase is really important. It's important to take your time with this because this is the make or break of your project. So you need to fill a page with thumbnails, and you need to fill it with cliche ideas at the beginning and sketch out all the obvious ideas first so that you can slowly come up with a stronger concept. And it usually takes time. Very, very rarely you come and sketch something and this is the best possible concept that you could have come up with. It takes time. Sometimes it takes 100, 200, 300 sketches. So you need to first understand the research and then the clear direction. And then once you visually mind map everything and focus on the keywords of the brief and the design that you want to focus on, once you have the keywords that you want to put all your energy and effort into, then you need to start the sketch phase. And then you need to start understanding what direction you want to take. And the reason you don't want to go on the computer yet is because sketching is freehand and is a lot faster than using the computer and using Illustrator, because you're a lot more free. You can change your mind and just go with a different direction within minutes. So you need to start with a sketch Once you do your sketches, you need to shortlist the winning concepts and the strongest ideas with a full amount of potential that matches the brief the closest. And before you even go on the computer, you need to make sure that you test it in a small scale first and make sure that it works small and large, because this is one of the key ways and the fastest way to find out if this concept would work or not. Just by applying this process to see if it works small, maybe even step back from the concept and the sketch and step a few meters back and see if you can see it or it loses meaning when you step back. If it does lose meaning, then most likely this concept is too complex and too refined with details. Think about how to simplify it or simply eliminate that concept. The next stage, you have the refining process. So you need to refine this. Once you have a winning logo, then you need to go on the computer and then vectorize this idea. So most of the time, my sketch is really rough. And I have an idea of where I want to take the sketch to the final version in my head. But it's not really until I go and vectorize it to really understand and I start seeing it come to life a bit more and refining each idea and concept until I get to the winning icon and winning logo. So you need to rebuild it as a vector. So you take the sketch and you put it on Illustrator. Then you need to vectorize it. Then you need to construct it into a grid so you can see everything and see everything in a balanced form. Once you do this, you need to fix it by eye, because most of the time, even if it's mathematically correct and everything is the same width, it doesn't mean elliptically it looks the same. Most time you need to go ahead and fix things by eye, because your eye will read it different depending on the side. And this is important to do, to tweak things by eye at the end and simplify things into one form. And what you need to do, you need to design it in black and white first before you add color. This is the initial concept. So you need to design it as black and white. Make sure it's a strong standalone mark before you go and add color to it and add depth. Because if it doesn't work in black and white, then most likely it's not strong enough of a concept and a logo to go all in for. Once you have a winning logo and winning concept, and you love the concept and everything works perfectly, then you need to choose your brand color. And the brand color, you need to start with one hero color. And what that means is a winning color that matches the brand perfectly. And you need to assign a role for the color. What that means is you need to have a hierarchy of color systems in place. And you need to assign a job for the color. So you need to have a hero color, meaning a version of the color that speaks the loudest. And you need to build tints and shades of this color so that it has a level of hierarchy. Then you need to add semantic colors, and you need to check the contrast of the colors and make sure it all fits perfectly. I would suggest always to have black and white and then one other color, one brand color that fits the description perfectly. And in order to choose color, you need to think what kind of emotion that you want to spark and what kind of messaging you want to convey. Because color itself, you need to study it properly. Each color would convey a different meaning and different message. So study what kind of mood and what kind of vibe you are trying to go for before picking a color, because the color is really important. Each of these stages are really important and pivotal to having a clean logo. Now, choosing the color and making sure that it's legible, you can read it properly, and it suits and is tailored to the brief and the brand is really important. Do you want to go with a light set of colors, or do you want to go with bright colors? And what kind of contrast do you want to have? How do you want the audience to feel when they see this? Do you want them to have trust? What keywords you want them to relate these colors to? So working this way will give you a solid understanding of what colors to go with. So keep this in mind. The next stage of this process is the type stage. And this is where you want to choose a appropriate font and typeface for that brand. Whether you need to customize it, you need to work on one that's solidly built and just turn it to perfection. Pick one that is used for the headings and the big fonts and the logo font as well. And then you need to pick a subtext and a subheading as well. So whether you want to go with a bold version and then go with a normal version of that same typeface. So first, pick a display and text face, then set a type and scale, what size you want to go for. Then you need to define the roles, and depending on where you want to use this typeface, depending on what size you want to go with, and setting some boundaries for the weight limits. So meaning how bold you want the font to show up. It's important getting this right, because you don't want to overpower the font with the logo and the icon, because if it overpowers it, then you're not going to have the same effect to the logo that you've been spending so much time for. So make sure that you don't overpower with the font. It needs to have a balance and it needs to complement each other. You need to set a font stack, one or two fonts with different weights, and see what works best. And testing this out and spending some time to really see what the best possible font will be for this project is going to be worthwhile, because this is another stage that will make or break the logo, especially the typeface. It needs to complement the icon really well. So keep this in mind. Stage 8 is building the system. This is a really key point of this stage. So far, you've understood the brief, you've understood the competition and the research. You've done some mind mapping and mood boarding visually and understand the key tone and aspects of the brand that you want to focus on. You've done some sketches and concepts, and then you've vectorized everything. You've chosen your colors and you've chosen your typography. Now you need to build a system combining all these elements in the strongest possible form. So you need to start with the primary, and you need to display it in different ways. So you need to first put the font and the icon together in different ways and see how it stacks best. Having a landscape version, a horizontal version, maybe even an emblem version. Then you need to make a submark. Then you want to make it responsive, and you want to play around with a few ideas and compositions that work best for your logo. You want to test these out to see what works best and for what occasion. So you need to understand which ones to use and which occasions you want to use specific ones, and build a series of these so you have them at hand. This is important so you understand the best possible version and variations that you want to use for the purpose that you intend to. Set a clear space for each concept and put them in different artboards, and then compare which one works best and which ones you want to save and which ones you want to eliminate. It's important to spend some time on this stage to make sure that you have the best possible concept and scenario for this. The next stage is building a branding guideline. A brand guideline shows you all the do's and don'ts, how to use your logo, for what occasion, what purpose, what colors to use, the hierarchy of text, spelling out exactly how to use the logo. And this is really important for the client, because most likely the client that comes to you for help doesn't really know themselves how to apply these. So you need to basically give them a full breakdown and a guideline to stick to. What font to use for what occasion, what size of font you should use. This is a stage where you basically hold their hand step by step and tell them, do this when you're trying to do this, do this when you're trying to do this. And then you also want to tell them what not to do. You need to tell them not to stretch the image, not to use the colors incorrectly, because they don't want to mix up the colors and mix up the brand, because this takes away from all the hard work that you've put in and budget that they've spent on making sure that they get this right. Make sure in this stage you clearly highlight all the do's and don'ts in this project and spell out exactly what they need to do to make sure they stick to the script. And doing this in a PDF format allows them to understand, and then whenever they try to do something themselves, they can go to this version and see what the guidelines are and try to apply them themselves. And this is also helpful when they have a big team where they can just assign this to someone else, and the other person right away would understand exactly what to do from this guideline that you're going to put in place. Once this is all done, you need to then bring the logo and everything that you've done so far into life. This is where you start to build mock-ups and present it to the client and really sell this idea to the client, why this is a winning idea and concept and why this is the best possible direction for them. You need to really sell this and to show them this is the winning concept against all the other directions that you've played out, and why this works over everything else, and show them the competition and all the research that you've done. And when you spend so much time researching the competition and understanding the direction and visual guidelines and everything, making this and following this step by step will give you the highest chance possible to build the strongest logo and brand direction possible. So once you are sold on the concept, go all out and try in every possible stage that we've discussed to close this and build this to the fullest. So you need to do these mock-ups and presentations in different mediums that suit and is tailored to this business and brand needs, and then roll it out everywhere with what it needs. You need to build templates in place for them so that they can use it at any time. It's quick and easy access, so they can open the template, put a few things in place, customize it, and then use it right away without spending a lot of time. You need to build a kit in place for them to use and access. And you need to make sure that you keep all these mock-ups and everything that you built for this brand consistent. It needs to have some sort of consistency and rules in place so that you don't break the rules, so that they don't break the rules later on as well. And this is the 10-stage step that I like to follow. And following this will really give you a clear understanding on how much research and depth it takes to go into these projects, and why doing something like this rather than coming up with a business name and a brand and then going to the sketch phase and going to the vector and just choosing things at random won't give you the best chance. Doing this will make sure that every stage is validated and every stage is thought out properly with different directions that you've tested, and making sure that this is the best possible version that you can create for this brand. I hope you guys found this video useful. I have a step-by-step guide on a real-life project that I will be working on. I'll be breaking down each of these stages step by step with a real client and a real brief. We'll be working together to break this down step by step, and you need to stay tuned for this series that's coming, and I'll break down each of these steps in all these 10 stages that I've covered today and breaking down each of these 10 steps practically. So we'll be doing a deep dive of each of these stages and working with real projects, making real decisions in real time. Stay tuned for the series that's coming soon, And I'll be covering step by step my entire process so that it can help you and you can apply it to your projects and your brands as well. Thank you guys for watching my video. If you find this useful, please leave a like and subscribe and leave your comments down below. It really helps me out with the algorithm. And if you have any questions or any queries, please leave a comment down below and I'll be happy to help you further. Thank you guys for watching my video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.